All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening to learn about the replacement of bridge number M0157 on Burnt Hill Road over Little Bennett Creek. I apologize. I hope everyone is well today and has had an enjoyable day. My name is Lori Main, and I will be your host this evening. First, before we get started, I'd like to go over some Zoom instructions for any of us that are not familiar with the platform. All microphones have been muted and cameras turned off. To reduce the bandwidth of tonight's meeting, please do not turn on your camera. Following tonight's presentation, there will be a question and answer session, if time allows. Please wait until the presentation ends to raise your hand to ask a question. Alternatively, you may type your question into the chat at any time during the presentation. To raise your hand after the presentation, you will click on the reactions icon and then click raise hand. And if you do opt to send chat questions, please send them to me, Lori Main, and then I will read them out once we get to the question and answer session. If you've called in tonight on your cell phone or via any telephone, press *9 to raise your hand and then *6 to unmute yourself once requested to unmute. And that's all I have for you as far as Zoom instructions go. Now I'm going to introduce you to the Chief of the Bridge Program, Brian Copley.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brian Copley. I am the manager for the Montgomery County Bridge Program. Thank you for attending our meeting tonight presented by the Montgomery County Department of Transportation. This virtual meeting is being recorded, and we will provide a link at the end of the presentation where you can watch and listen to the recorded presentation. We will try our best to answer all your questions. However, if we run out of time, you can still submit your questions to our project manager, Mr. Holger Serrano, and he will respond to your question. This meeting is to explain our county project to replace the Burnt Hill Road Bridge over Little Bennett Creek. This project will involve the following: replacement of the existing bridge, stabilization of the stream channel, scour protection, and repaving of the existing approach roadways. Lori Main is our master of ceremony and technical expert for this virtual presentation. She will be taking care of the virtual chat box and reading questions during the answer and question session. Holger Serrano of the Department of Transportation is the project manager for this bridge replacement project. Here to explain the specifics of the project is the project manager, Holger Serrano. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Lori, can you put the next slide, please? So, like Brian said, thank you for joining us tonight. And my name is Holger Serrano. I am the project manager. And what I'm going to do is spend the next 15 minutes or so explaining the project to you. And we're going to start off with the purpose of the meeting. So what we're going to be talking to you today is present the project team, present the existing bridge conditions, show you what the project scope and proposed bridge we're proposing is, present mix of traffic during construction. We'll present the current project cost estimate, the funding, and the possible schedule. And really important, we'd like to get input from you. We have gotten some already, so please feel free to ask questions. Next slide, please. So right now, the project is basically run by Montgomery County Department of Transportation, and Brian and myself are the two main contacts. But we do have a team composed of Maryland National Park and Planning Commission. We have the planning group and the parks group working closely with us on this bridge. And we also have our design consultants, Stantec and Coastal Resources, who are providing the technical expertise for the project. Next slide, please. The project is located on Burnt Hill Road, near Kingstead Road, near Clarksburg. And the project itself, there's a little bridge. It's 17 feet long, so you might not even know it's there. But it's right past Kingstead Road, and it goes over the Little Bennett Creek. Next slide, please. Now, the Burnt Hill Road is listed as a rustic road in the 2023 Rustic Road Functional Master Plan. Additionally, this road has no existing or planned bike facilities on it. The speed limit on the road is 40 miles per hour. It does have an advisory of 35 miles per hour. And back in the fall of 2022, we did a traffic count to see how many vehicles are on this road. And it seems to be about 825 vehicles per day travel this corridor. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to give a little background on the existing bridge. And the existing road bridge, we have two photographs here. The one on the left is showing you the South Approach roadway looking north. So the bridge is right there. And then on the right-hand side, we have a west elevation that shows you the opening of the bridge itself. The bridge was built in 1955, and it's a 17-foot long single-span concrete T-beam with a concrete deck. On the surface, we have two lanes, and the basically the width of the road is 18 foot 1 inch. And we have W-beam railings on both sides, and the bridge itself is supported in concrete abutments, and it is weight restricted to 30,000 pounds for single and combination vehicles. Next slide, thank you. This slide, I kind of just want to show some of the members of the existing bridge. So if you're on top of the bridge sitting on the pavement, that's what we call our concrete slab. And right below the slab, it's what we have concrete T-beams. Those support the slab and rest on the abutment stem. And then the abutment stem rests on the footing. So all that's basically one component. And I want to show this because I'm going to talk about some of these members down in the presentation a little bit later. Next slide. Now the deterioration of the bridge, there's really 5 different components of it. And the first one is on the very top. It's the concrete deck. You can see that the asphalt overlay and there's patching on the actual pavement itself. The W-beams, they have been hit by cars running by, and there's just scrape marks along different parts of this W-beam railings. Next slide, please. The concrete beams that are underneath the deck have shown that there's a deterioration. Basically, what we have is spalling, and you can see the existing reinforcing steel and efflorescence in the concrete beams continue. And what happens is the more that this occurs, then the less capacity the bridge can take for carrying heavier weights. Next slide. Next, we have the concrete abutments. And in the concrete abutments, you can also see spalls and efflorescence all around the stems, just different locations. Next slide. Now we have what we call concrete footings. Now, this bridge has water flowing underneath it, and some of these storms over the years have gotten bigger and bigger. And one of the things they do is they cause scours. Scours really undermining of the footings. And on the north footing, this is quite visible that a scour has occurred. And if this continues, the stability of the foundation becomes into play. Right now, everything's fine, but down the road, this could be an issue. Next slide, please. And number 5 is the stream itself. So as this water flows in the stream, what has happened is there have been scour along the stream banks. You can see vertical cuts and exposed tree roots along the banks. And this is on the approach to the bridge and also as it leaves the bridge. So this is just on both sides of the structure. Next slide. Okay, so that's kind of, I went over kind of the existing condition, some of the issues that we see on the existing condition. So the bridge is up there in age. It's close to 70 years old. So these things are expected. So what we're proposing to do is to replace the existing structure. We're looking at stabilizing the stream, provide scour protection, and we will be repaving the existing approach roadway. Okay. Now, on the part of stabilizing the stream, that's okay. Okay, that's fine. On the stabilizing the stream, we are working closely with parks at this point. We're trying to balance the stabilization of the stream versus the cutting down of trees. And so there's kind of like a fine art to this, and something the park is very good at. So we're working with them closely in that. We have kind of a plan right now, but it's been refined. So that will occur over the next, I say, 3 to 6 weeks, where we'll actually come back with a good of a plan of this is what we want to do. I just want to throw that in and let you know that's what's happening on the stream. Okay, next slide. This slide here basically shows the actual structure on a plan view. So you're looking top down, like from top of an airplane looking down, and you can see that the bridge itself has increased in length. The opening of the bridge has increased in length. Also, the bridge has increased in length from 17 feet to 34 feet. And the width of the bridge has increased a little bit. It went from 18 feet to 20 feet. Also, those little circles or ovals, that's the underneath the bridge, and that's what we call the riprap, which help us with the scour protection of the structure. Next slide, please. Okay, on this slide, what you're looking at is the typical section. The typical sections when you're driving on the road, if you're on the right-hand side, you see a 10-foot lane. There will be on the left-hand side, another 10-foot lane. And there will be underneath those, underneath the top pavement, we would have 6 pre-stressed concrete solid slab panels that will support the superstructure. We would have a concrete overlay. And on the outside, we would continue with the W-beam bridge railings. Now, the bridge railings were right now it's galvanized. So we're thinking either galvanized, maybe brown. We're not sure yet exactly what we're going to do. That's something that you may weigh in on, and something that the rest of the committee will definitely weigh in as far as the color of the rail. Next slide. Okay, on this slide, what I wanted to show you was the existing bridge and the proposed bridge. On the top, you have the existing bridge. The roadway clear width is 18 foot and 1 inch. On the bottom, the proposed bridge has a 20-foot clear width. So we picked up 2 feet basically. The approach roadways, they stand about the same. On the top's 18 feet. On the bottom, on the new bridge, it varies from 18 to 20. The bridge opening is where there is a difference. On the existing bridge, we have a 17-foot opening, and the proposed, we're going to 28 feet. What this does, it allows the stream to meander better on the proposed bridge, and we should cut down on the stream erosion problems. We do have concrete abutments and wing walls on the proposed structure, and we will provide riprap scour protection on the proposed structure. Next slide. Now, one of the things that we need to do is maintenance of traffic during construction. And we're looking at closing the structure for about 10 weeks. And this would happen in the summer, right as school gets out, would be around June 18th, and we would open it back up around August 25th. And this would be, time-wise, sometime in 2026, summer of 2026, okay? Now, we also are coordinating with the police, fire and rescue, and Montgomery County Schools as to make sure that the closure doesn't have a negative impact with their operations. The detour itself, if you start at the corner of Kings Dead Road and Burnt Hill, and you go south, that would take you over to Snowden Farm Parkway, which is currently closed. That project's supposed to be completed in the spring of 2024, so way before we would be using that part of the project. And then from there, we'd turn right and go to Clarksburg Road, and we would go towards Louisdale Road and then Price's Distillery Road. The detour is about 5.6 miles and would take about 8 minutes. Next slide. So now we're going to talk a little about the project cost estimate, the funding, and the schedule. So right now, the project's at 30% design. We have all the funding for the engineering. So well, first of all, this is a Montgomery County funded project. There's no state involvement. We do have engineering cost at this point, and that's around $600,000. The project construction, customer management is going to be in the neighborhood of $3 million. We don't have that funded at this time. Our proposal is to go to the county executive this summer 2024, and request that money for construction and construction management. If it gets approved, then the following schedule will continue. We would have the design complete in the summer of 2025. We say construction begin in the spring of 2026 and end in the fall of 2026. And that is true. However, the closure itself will be limited to June 18th to August 25th. Next slide. So what are our next steps? One, we would proceed with the final design based on comments from the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Montgomery County Department of Permanent Service, and Montgomery County Department of Transportation. Also important, we do want to hear back from you as to feedbacks that you have, and that you can do that, one, asking questions tonight. If not, there's an online comment form you can fill out, or you can email me directly with any comments or questions that you may have. Next slide. And here's just some more information about my contact information. And also, this presentation will be on the website. The web page is linked here, so that if you want to review something and have additional questions, you can please go to the website and look at the presentation again. And that kind of wraps up my presentation. So at this point, we can now ask questions and try to answer the questions. Right, Lori, see what we got.
I do not have any hands raised, and I don't have any questions in the chat at this time.
Okay. There were some questions that were emailed or on the registration form. And I can try to get those answered.
We do have a couple of comments.
Okay.
May McDermott said it was a fantastic presentation.
Well, thank you.
She best I've seen about a plan. And Dale Tibbetts would like to know, what is the life expectancy of the new bridge?
We shoot for 100 years now. So that's, hopefully we'll get there. But that's what we aim for.
Okay. Will there be a weight limit to the new bridge?
No. It'd be just like a regular brand new bridge with no restrictions.
It's going to be designed for all legal live loads.
Right, thank you. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna try to hit these couple questions that I see here. One is, how will this affect the fire department means of travel? And right now, if you think of the bridge, and there's it's a small bridge, but think of the south side and the north side. So the bridge is closed on the south side. The Clarksburg Fire Department has access to that area, and with the bridge closure, there would be no impact. They would still have a. Let me see. Let me check something real quick. They will have, right now, it takes 9 minutes from the Clarksburg Fire Department to get to that area. Yes,
We actually have a couple new questions in the chat. Karen had asked if there would be a weight limit on the new bridge, and she's saying there is an existing weight limit on Burnt Hill Road itself. And how will this affect the weight limit on the bridge?
well, the Burnt Hill Road will continue to have that weight limit. We will not change that. But the bridge will be designed to the latest requirements. Basically, that we know, the state of Maryland has certain requirement for bridges. And basically we designed it to that requirement, which is much higher than what the Burnt Hill Road currently has. Does that make sense?
I think it does. Okay, Dale Tibbetts would like to know any rustic road considerations going into the bridge.
We did meet with the Rustic Road Commission, and they have agreed to allow us to widen from 18-foot 1 inch to 20 foot. The one thing we do have to touch back with them is on the railing itself. We have the same railing that's existing there, but we're considering giving them the option of a brown railing versus the current one. So that's one consideration that we have to go back to the committee and discuss.
Okay, next question. Karen would like to know, will there be safe pedestrian path to cross the bridge? So there's a sidewalk.
No, there will not be any sidewalks on the bridge or the road itself. That's something we discussed with Parks and the rest of the committee, and no, we're not doing that.
Okay, Joanne would like to know, why is traffic not being diverted to Kings Valley Road instead?
I don't know. No. The detour was looked at by our traffic division, and they look at the flow of traffic, trying to maintain the same level of service when they do the detour. So that's a question that I have to get back to with the actual details why that wasn't chosen, because I really don't know why it wasn't chosen.
Yeah, we have to choose detour routes that divert the traffic on equal or a better level of service roads.
Right. So that one I'd get back to you.
It's based on the classifications of the roadways.
Okay.
All right, that's the last question I have for you.
Okay. So I wanted to just finish the one thing on the fire question, fire station, because 2 fire stations are supposed to come into this area, one from Damascus and one from Clarksburg. So the Damascus fire station takes 8 minutes to get to this area, and that would stay the same. And that's on the northern side of the bridge, and on the southern side, Clarksburg would also stay the same. But that's something that we're fine-tuning with our fire folks to make sure that that is completely covered, because that's really essential that we have that safety taken care of. And
I have another question for you.
sure.
May would like to know, she says she's concerned about the traffic situation. Burnt Hill is beat up, as is Clarksburg Road, due mostly to Mack trucks that are going from sites west of 270 to Route 75 or 80 via Clarksburg Road through the park. I have been told that they are driving the quickest route and that they are legal. But the erosion on Clarksburg Road through Little Bennett Park is terrible, as is the condition of the road. Can the detours reiterate weight limits on Clarksburg Road?
Okay, so what I'm understanding is, she's asking if Clarksburg Road could have a weight limit imposed on it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to talk to traffic and find out what the situation is and see if it's warranted. So, well, we'll find out and get back to you and let you know. Because they need to analyze it to say, yes, we can do that, or no, we can't do that.
I do have a hand raised now. This person has joined by their cell phone, so I don't know who they are, but I'm going to go ahead and ask them to unmute, please.
Hi, my name is Bernie, and I live on Burns Hill Road. And my question is, if the funding doesn't go through, how long will the current bridge last? As you know, it is deteriorating, and as people have mentioned, there is a lot of heavy truck traffic that uses the road.
Correct. Well, we are not, I say, one of the things that we do is we make sure that the bridge is maintained at a safe level at all times. Let's say the funding doesn't go through this year. It would be delayed 1 year. The funding would be delayed 1 year. And in that meantime, we would take, if we needed to, any remedial action to make sure that the bridge stays at a safe condition.
The bridge is inspected annually, so we have trained inspectors going out looking at it periodically. So
yeah, I mean, I understand your concern, but we would be okay with it. I think the funding will go through. It's one of those things where I just want to make sure. You never know what happens with the elected officials, but I think they understand the safety of the bridge.
it's a public
If I'm
safety
still unmuted, there's always issues in Clarksburg with funding, and funding is delayed multiple times. That happened on the bridge on Stringtown Road that's between 355 and Snowden Farm Parkway. The funding for that was delayed between 5 or 6, maybe even 7 years.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, as Brian did say, we do inspect bridge every year. So we do know the situation, and that type of funding we have available for repairs. So that funding is there if we need to repair the bridge.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other comments or?
I don't have any.
One thing I do want to clarify on the closure itself, the bridge would be closed, and then the construction equipment would be on either side of the bridge. We would not affect any driveways that are nearby, and also on the adjacent road that oh, what's the name of that adjacent road? I can't think of it. Kings. My eyes. Kingston Road will not be closed. That intersection will remain open. I just want to make sure people understand that. So on the bridge itself, will probably be maybe 300 to 400 yards on the other side closed. But the Kingston Road will not be closed.
Okay, we have another question.
Okay.
This is Bernie on Burns Hill Road again.
Yes.
Kingstead really needs to be inspected because, again, there's a tremendous amount of traffic that uses GPS now, and when there are accidents on 355 or 270 and people bail out, they tend to come down Kings Valley Road or Stringtown Road, and their GPS might take them on Kingstead. There's already an issue at Kingstead and Kings Valley Road in that there isn't good sight lines from the stop sign at Kings Valley Road looking on to Kingstead. It's very hard to see traffic from the right or traffic from the left that's coming on the road. So it's a dangerous intersection. And also, the last time anything was done on Kingstead, it was just tar and gravel patching that took place. And that was a number of years ago. And a lot of that patching has disintegrated with snow plows and just the amount of traffic that uses that road currently. So again, the county really needs to take a look at that road, even possibly put a traffic counter on Kingstead and also on Kingsley, as those are both rustic roads that at points on those roads, only one car can go by at a time. It's not, neither road is wide enough for two cars to pass on the entire portion of those roads.
Right.
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, we will, I'll get that off to our highway services and our traffic folks to take a look at that. Thank you for the comment on that.
Okay, I do have one more question.
Okay.
When is the next update? And will you keep us on a contact list to let us know?
Yes. Well, what we expect is the closing of comments is the 28th of February. We should be sending a newsletter out indicating basically question and answers and what's going on in March. And then we will definitely update once we go to the planning board with what we call mandatory referral. And that'd be probably, I'm thinking, sometime in April. But if we have your contact information, we do newsletters, so we will send newsletters out indicating what's going on. So those are the immediate contacts. The one other one we would like to do is when we make our submittal on I think it's July, August for the PDF for the funding. We'll let you know then in case you want to write to the executive, let them know that you support the project or not. That would also help.
All right, well, it looks like all questions have been answered for now, and so we will see you again in March. And this now concludes the meeting. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and have a pleasant rest of your night.
Yeah, hold on, Lori. One thing I want to
Yeah.
clarify, the March will be a newsletter going out to the people and also be on the website as to what's going on. Okay.
Absolutely, yes. And
Okay.
and we keep the address list that we used to send the notice to you this time, so you will be most assuredly get a notice in the newsletters. So,
Thank you so much, Lori.
yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks. Great.